Welcome to Rauta, welcome to Steelfest 2025. This time it's one cameraman, two cameras, and a bunch of people. This is maybe, well, definitely one of the most important bands ever to come from Brazil. Let's welcome Sarcofago, please. So here we have a bunch of people, and this time, because we're talking about Brazilian band, we actually have a translator to help us out. So welcome people, and let's tune in what we have here at Steelfest 2025. Let's start by introducing, let's start with the Mr. Translator first.
Okay.
Sir, who are you?
My name is Pedro. I'm vocals and keyboards.
And then we move on to...
My name is Geraldo Minelli. I play bass.
And also your stage name is...
Incubus.
Yes, and you, sir?
I'm Igor Padrão. I'm the guitar player.
And then we will move on with this one, sir.
Edison Deadman, drums.
And my name is Caesar, guitar.
All right, let's get back to the very beginning of, I don't know which way I should talk to you, but let's ask you. Sarcofago is first time in Finland, and this is a very, very special show for us fans and for metal people. And I don't know really, what can we expect from this inclination of Sarcofago?
O que se pode esperar do Sarcófago, né? Assim, tem primeira vez que vem em Finlândia e tal. Podem esperar do show.
Na realidade, hoje, quem se apresenta não é o Sarcófago, né? É o The Laws, uma banda que eu montei para tocar algumas músicas do Sarcófago. A gente vai fazer uma tour e a gente vem com aquela mesma intensidade do Sarcófago lá nos anos 80 e 90, quando estávamos na ativa aí.
The thing is, we are actually not officially Sarcófago. He is the founder of Sarcófago, and he joined us under the name of The Laws to play Sarcófago songs. And no, qual que era a segunda coisa aqui?
Tem intenção.
Oh, yeah, and he choose the people that could keep the same intensity that Sarcófago was had this characteristic of playing live, being so aggressive and stuff, and that's our main mission. That's what you can expect. A very passionate show, a very and respectful with all Sarcófago history and songs and the fans, of course.
Now, the band has a lot of history and goes all the way to the 1980s. And I'm not always sure how well the younger generation knows the music and all that stuff. So my question is, how easy or how difficult, for that matter, it is to make the younger generation understand the importance of this band?
A ideia é que ele está perguntando como o Sarcófago é uma banda dos anos 80 e 90, o que a gente pode fazer para cativar os jovens, a galera que não viveu essa época, né?
Importante, né, é formar essa banda para reviver um pouco, né, as músicas do Sarcófago sem nostalgia, exatamente porque a gente percebe que tem uma geração dos mais novos e até uma geração muito mais nova agora, que é a geração que a gente chama de Z, né, que gosta do Sarcófago. Então, isso eu resolvi tirar esse ano, sair para a estrada, tocando umas músicas de Sarcófago para que algumas pessoas, principalmente os mais novos e aqueles que, né, da minha geração que não puderam, né, nos assistir ao vivo, né, para a gente trazer uma pontinha do Sarcófago aqui.
The thing is, your question is about the young people, and the band was formed. One of the reasons the band was formed is because we wanted to show the world about Sarcófago. We see that we have a young, new generation of people who enjoyed the songs, who ask us about when we are going to play and stuff. And Gerald here, he takes some personal time to dedicate to this band, and we can tour around the world and show not only the new generations but people who are expecting this for a long time. So it's a way to show what Sarcófago means back in the time, and we are trying not with a nostalgia exactly feeling, but with this mission that it's to show the world what a Sarcófago means, not only for us, but for metal in
All
general.
right. Now I'm gonna ask you the question: how does it feel to fill the shoes of some of the original members and play this music that is generations old and has inspired a lot of bands over the years?
It's a big pleasure to play with legends. It's made part of my childhood. It's a good thing because many people looks the band today. It's a good thing because how he said about the new generation, about the old generation too. Many people thought see and the best. It's a good thing for all people. And to me, it's the same thing. Very nice.
And now I would like to ask these guys pretty much the same. You are a little bit older, you're maybe a little bit younger, but nonetheless we're not really the young guys anymore. So how it is to play to this kind of an audience who is probably so much younger than you guys and who don't maybe not understand the importance of Sarcófago.
Perguntando como que é para vocês assim que, né, assim, uns já não são tão jovens, que é tocar para uma galera que provavelmente não tem a noção do que é o Sarcófago, sabe?
Um pouco da sua história, Sarcófago também, você era bom e tal.
Eu já tenho uma história já longa com o Sarcófago, cheguei a tocar com o Wagner e Lamonier no Common Cause, durante quase 10 anos, e já estou acostumado, né, com esse público do metal extremo. Além disso, eu toquei em outras bandas, como Low Cypher, Era dos Oito, e está sendo um privilégio estar tocando agora com o Geraldo do Melo, né? Eu toquei com o Wagner e Lamonier, agora o meu grande aluno, Geraldo do Eletro.
He said he is already used to, this thing with the new generation because he already played with Low Cypher, which is a very old band from Brazil, and he also played with Wagner Lamonier, the previous vocals from Sarcofago. So he believes it's a privilege to be here and to be playing with Gerald and stuff. But we are already used to this contact with the new generation, so we were always thinking about how to reach them.
Now a question to you,
Okay.
because you are quite a bit younger.
Yes.
How easy or hard it will be for you to fill the shoes?
Yeah, I do feel the heaviness of the responsibility because not only Sarcófago has a huge history, but also Wagner is very influential. So we know that, and we got really nervous, but at the same time we believe a lot in the work that we are doing. In the rehearsals, we dedicate the most. We are very passionate about it, and we also have a lot of fights in the good sense because all the five of us are really want to represent what Sarcófago means. So for me, I grew up listening to Ingrid. I never had thought about playing with that guys, and for me it was a big shock and a big privilege. For myself, what can I say is that I enjoy it so much, and I'm giving 150% of myself to make it work because it's a great opportunity and a great responsibility. So also.
Okay, I totally understand. One of the things what I guess a lot of people want to know is how is the relation with Wagner and you, because obviously it's not the original lineup by no means and all that stuff, and there were some comments, some complaints even when people like, oh, it's not the real deal, it's that they're not the guys anymore, like there's like only one old member and all that stuff. So I would like to hear what Gerard has to say about the people who are complaining about the lack of original members.
Ok. Ele está falando assim, o que você acha dessa questão de algumas galeras, bom, as pessoas não reclamarem ou acharem assim, não são os membros originais e tal, como que a gente lida com isso, com essa questão, e sobre sua relação com os outros membros também?
a minha relação com os termos do Sarcófago, sobretudo com os que iniciaram a formação do disco INRI, excelente. Há menos de 20 dias nós nos encontramos, né? Divertimos muito, tomamos bastante cerveja, ficamos loucos como nos anos 80 e tudo que o Sarcófago vai fazer, isso é desde o começo da carreira, tem aquela questão que alguns acham muito ruim e outros amam, né? Então a gente não pode ficar pensando dessa forma, colocar o projeto para frente, como o Sarcófago sempre foi, né? E tentar fazer, né, alguma coisa, porque eu entendo que a maioria das pessoas, né, querem ir pelo menos um dos sarcófagos, né, fazendo algumas apresentações. Tranquilo. E a gente entende que o fã tem o direito de reclamar, de não querer, talvez, o Delaus tocando as músicas do Sarcófago, alguns, mas a maioria eu tenho certeza que sim. Tranquilo.
He said that his relationship with the guys, especially from the original lineup, is excellent. A few days ago, the four of them they met, and it was a Uriah Heep show, and they have fun and talk a lot. They are friends like the childhood, so they have a good relationship. And what I know is that the only thing they ask is to, know the responsibility and don't make shit. And they know they wouldn't make a shit, But the thing is, when people complain about it, Sarcofago was always, since the beginning, a band that has something, some trouble, some people complaining. And it's a band that people will love or people will hate or both sometimes, and we just think that we cannot be thinking always about that complaining thing, because if so we wouldn't doing anything. The thing is, our mission is to respect the most and understand the responsibility and do our best to that. And people will talk shit and stuff, but we actually don't care about that.
A question for you then is, since you are the translator and all, and of course there are these language barriers, and when you do trips, when you make arrangements and deals with the bands, how hard or easy for that matter it is to get around the overly global world these days, when we kind of have to be that spokes guy for the band?
Actually, this is my first experience as playing with the guys outside Brazil, and I'm still understanding of what's going on that stuff, but it's very tranquil. Usually Gerald deals with that stuff, all that management, he deals it, and it's been quite tranquil with identifying the critical barrier or something, but it's really good. It's a wholesome experience, to be here, to be knowing people from everywhere in the world, and it's another responsibility, to be that communicator, not only translating things, but communicating on stage. It's a thing that I think a lot about it, how to do it, how to do my best, and as my first time, it's been okay. It's my English is not perfect, but I can, deal with things and solve things, and it's been working out as fine,
Okay, now I got a question for Anderson and right here. Let's start with Anderson. Talking about the old days, things have obviously changed a lot since 80s and 90s, and it's a very different world in terms of playing music, not just in sheer metal, but in other ways. How would you say, have things gone for the better or worse when it comes to playing metal in various parts of the world?
Tipo que desde os anos 80, dos anos 90, as coisas mudaram bastante e tal, e vocês, vai fazer a pergunta pro geral também, mas queria saber de você o que você acha dessa, que as coisas estão sempre mudando e tal, se você acha que elas mudaram para melhor, para pior, como é que é, o que você vê isso?
Mudou muito para melhor, né? Antigamente não era porque só não tinha tanta informação, né? Hoje em dia a galera tá mais informada, o que se passa no mundo do metal extrema. Antigamente era muito precário, né? Você ter ali até a forma de você conectar com as pessoas era via carta, né? Hoje em dia o WhatsApp, as informações chegam muito mais rápido. Se evoluiu demais o metal extremo no mundo, né?
Sim. What he's saying is that information gets really fast today, so it's a really good thing because things used to be way difficult. I don't know how things were here, but back in Brazil, things are still difficult in terms of equipment and stuff. They are a lot better, definitely, but it was way worse. So he believes that it's a good thing that information and that whole structure of things getting better. It's a good thing. He believes.
All right, obrigado. Okay, moving to you is basically the same question. So I will spare your time for this. So asking about nowadays, but back then,
Tipo assim,
Eu sempre acreditei, por isso que nós formamos o Sarcófago, porque nós temos que acreditar nas gerações novas. Eu cresci ouvindo o Express, depois comecei a aprender a ouvir Black Sabbath e nós construímos o Sarcófago e trouxemos alguma coisa nova. Não só o Sarcófago, mas como várias bandas ao mesmo tempo, né, naquela geração, no mundo inteiro. Por isso tem o Steelfest, o Wagner e outros festivais. E tem né, uma nova geração produzindo coisas novas que vai acrescentar. Então a gente tem sempre que acreditar e tem que saber aproveitar as ferramentas que tem. Como o Anderson disse, hoje nós estamos assim, né, eu acho que no topo da era da informação, então as coisas acontecem mais rápido, não com mais facilidade, porque tem as dificuldades, mas que contribuem para isso sim. No Brasil mesmo, né, a cada dia surge uma banda de garagem nova que traz um elemento novo para contribuir para essa coisa que a gente chama de rock and roll, heavy metal, death metal, black metal, metal em geral.
O Sarcófago was built believing in that new stuff. He said that he grew up listening to Elvis Presley and Black Sabbath, and it's a way of thinking, it's a way of seeing. It's a band that was built by people who were listening to things before extreme metal. So it started as believing in something new, in creating something new. And Sarcofago was always a band that had this in mind. The next record cannot be like the previous one. We have to do something new. And he believes a lot in the junior generations. Every day there are bands, young bands building something new, something different. And so the thing is always to believe in that. We are doing things not looking at the past, but what we can create, it can be expressed as new, and because this is what motivated festivals like Steelfest, Wagner and stuff, because there are bands who believe in creating new stuff. So that's our main mission.
All right, now we go to the gentleman on the very floor. I want to ask how different it is to play, say, in Brazil, where everybody knows the same language and is the same culture and all that stuff, versus when you go to, say, Europe or United States or, I don't know, wherever. So how much there is difference in cultures or as a musician to play when you travel?
Você entendeu, não? Qual que é a diferença, tipo assim, de tocar pro Brasil e tocar pro resto do mundo? Diferentes culturas, diferentes linguagens e tal?
Essa é a cultura heavy metal. Eu diria que a gente no Brasil a gente tem muita dificuldade de equipamento. Hoje está um pouco melhor, mas sempre a gente teve dificuldade de ser um país um pouco mais atrasado em relação à tecnologia. E a gente chega aqui na Europa, nos Estados Unidos, as coisas são muito mais acessíveis. Então eu acho que é um meio choque de cultura até. Mas é muito legal, assim, porque a linguagem heavy metal ela é universal. Então isso é muito legal, assim, tanto acredito que pra mim, pra todos os caras, assim, é muito foda, assim, ter essa conexão.
What it says is that in Brazil we still have a lot of difficulties, as I say before. Equipment stuff, it's too expensive. So when we get to other countries and we see that things are way more accessible, is like a culture shock for us. For example, to see Steelfest in the middle of a small city, it's sort of things that are very difficult, still very difficult in Brazil. But in the same way, it's that connection, that cultural exchange is part of heavy metal language.
Yeah.
We live that connection, and it's always awesome for us to live that and meet new people, meet new culture. It's always a good thing. And we look at Brazil with kind of well, we see how difficult it is, when we go outside and we compare things, even more how it's difficult for us back in Brazil for equipment stuff and for cultural, thinking of people. So it's a shock, a culture shock, but it's a good one, a good surprise, to meet all the different cultures.
All right.
Learn with.
Yes.
Obrigado. Then I have a question for you. Obviously, Brazil is known for metal in big times, but I think the most usual name when we're talking about Brazilian metal in general is, of course, Sepultura. So I guess a lot of people will be, okay, we're gonna be like a band like that, we're gonna conquer the world and all that stuff, but how is the metal scene, in your opinion, like these days? You're a big country, a lot of people, a lot of passion, that Latino passion and all that stuff. Like we could imagine, like, okay, there must be thousands of bands wanting to conquer the world, but how do you see it?
Yeah, Belo Horizonte in Brazil, but Belo Horizonte is met like a metal city from Brazil, right?
Yeah.
Because Sarcófago, Sepultura, how is that? But today have many bands around the Brazil. So good Brazilian bands. Around day by day, they bands are more professional or good. They traveling. So in my opinion, like you ask, today is good till the tomorrow than yesterday, because the bands like the Gerald says, there's opportunity to make 10 different things and to make the good things and better things. It's okay today. It's okay like the past to me.
And I know you have skin, but just telling my opinion is about Brazilian bands is in spite of the difficulties, people are very passionate about it. So it's a way of surviving the hostile society we live in, So as long as things are the way they are, there will be metal bands and there will be new generations coming, because it's already part of of our reality. We live a rush reality, and not only in Brazil, several places in the world, but in Brazil we do have strong politicians ruling and stuff, and so it's always a way of survival, a way of creating an environment that we feel comfortable, that's very important for us in Brazil.
For example, in another countries, you have in many cities radios about metal, about rock and roll. In Belo Horizonte and another cities, it's not similar to it. We don't have in Belo Horizonte a metal radio. So we survive when we are there. We are here. We are playing, right?
A question for you too, both. You can answer too because you have the mic. Everybody knows the meme. Come to Brazil.
Sure.
So where does that idea stem from? Why are Brazilian fans the most known of? Let's start with you.
Eu tô perguntando porque tem o meme venha pro Brasil e tal, da galera pedindo, né, assim. Então, por que você acha que rola isso, que a galera do Brasil, os fãs são tão apaixonados, né, assim?
Vamos lá, o Brasil é um país muito heterogêneo, né? Nós temos assim uma representação musical muito grande. Samba, bossa nova, forró, frevo. Então é uma variedade de música muito grande, sobretudo uma música comercial que chama música sertaneja, country music, né? Que domina o mercado musical, a indústria fonográfica no Brasil. E o rock ainda é underground. Mas é um underground, como o Brasil é um país de 230 milhões de habitantes, então a gente tem um percentual, na hora que você tira um percentual de 10% dessa população que gosta desse segmento, rock enche estágio. E nós latinos, né, nós somos mais fervorosos, né, quando você vai participar de qualquer evento, seja ele na área musical, na área da ciência, na academia, é uma coisa de latino. Então os shows são muito empolgantes em todos os segmentos musicais do Brasil.
The thing is, Brazil is very mixed, you know, there's a lot of cultures, a lot of different music styles, and all of them have in common that passionate stuff, you know. I don't know if it's the climate or whatever, but Brazil is always, you know, that has this heat, you know, this passion about things. So whenever, even rock and roll and metal being underground stuff, even being a small percentage of the whole population, it's still a lot of people. You know, Brazil is a huge country and has like more than 200 million people. So people are always passionate. I believe that it's connected with what I said before about music being a way of survival. You know, we do see metal as that, but people of other styles also see that. You know, when people go to listen to a country show or whatever, it's their way to express what they're feeling and you know, put it out all the bad things they're living in their lives, you know. So that's why I believe that's why we are all so passionate about that.
Now, our big question is obviously this: that Brazil being a big country and a big impact on the stuff in terms of metal. But one thing that always kind of was something weird to me is why there are so many bands. Not maybe in big numbers, but still important numbers, is that you have also a lot of these kind of NSBM bands. Like, where's this Nazi thing coming from Brazil and how big it is in numbers? And I want to make it more like a factual, not by impression, because we obviously know a lot of bands that are like, just like openly, just like sounding like 1940s, came to the visit and all that sounds weird. Okay. So where is this coming from, this Brazilian thing? Because I know bands like Mystifier and all have been fighting against this for good reason. Yeah. But there are still even modern bands that are doing that. So why is it so?
I'm asking the later.
No, you can ask yourself. Up to you.
Okay. I believe it's stupidity because Brazil, education in Brazil, it's very poor. Just like very others, other things, it's very, you know, low and it's proposed. People are, you know, taught to be dumb. You know, it's what Brazil means to other people is hard workers and only that. So. I believe that people are stupid enough to not recognize their own history. Not their own history, but the history of the rest of the world. People are very, there's a lot of people who are very ignorant in that matter.
I'm sure.
Sure. We had our ex-president was a shitty dictator.
Yeah, we read about it. We're like shocked, like what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, and the most absurd things he say, the more absurd things he say, more people enjoy him.
Wow.
So it's really shocking to think about a country who has already been out of dictatorship like 40 years ago, to get back to that cultural values. I mean, I think that people don't, have they are so manipulated that they don't have the notion of how that harmful is to us ourselves, And NS bands, I believe it's a portrait of that stupidity, of that ignorant. I mean, NS bands from anywhere of the world. I mean, it's a shit stuff, but especially in South America or stuff that it's a very mixed culture. It doesn't make sense, you being segregating and calling ourselves better than others because of the color of the skin and stuff.
I feel very weird because, I mean, I hate that shit. But even more absurd it is when you're like, okay, these guys are promoting white race and the blue eyes and blonde hair, and like I'm thinking like, okay, Brazilian people are not exactly the kind of a German ideology, the Swedes type, and then there are these guys like you realize you're kind of like Latin people, and these guys would not probably go for like that. And like why that is happening? I just kind of want to understand it because it's so crazy.
Yeah, I believe that. The only explanation may be that people want to be as absurd, as senseless as they can be, and they are not everybody. I'm saying that it sounds like everybody, but it's not everybody. But there's a few people, a percentage of people who, just are in for the shock, are in for the to the aggression.
So kind of a shock rock thing in a way.
Yeah, but also prejudice. Okay. Unfortunately, we are not taught how to, we are not educated to deal with that stuff. We are, it's weird, it's senseless because we are so mixed, but at the same time, we're not educated to deal with the difference. So I believe that it's a way of people, just in for the shock or stuff, or being, or just letting the prejudice inside of them speaking higher,
Now, this also reminds me of that recently. This was maybe a year ago, roughly, give or take, when Mayhem was touring in Brazil, and some places managed to cancel them for exactly the opposite of reasons. So I was like wondering, was it about religious things, or was it about racial things, or what had really happened?
Okay, I'm asking this guy because I don't know much about this one.
So, for example, me and Cesar, we played at Multilater for Belo Horizonte. We played with Mayhem.
Yeah.
And I know it about this news later. So I can't talk about because I don't understand. So we play with the guys. So days later we talk about. So I don't understand the tune now.
Okay, getting a little bit before we conclude and all that stuff, and I'm going to ask you a bunch of quick questions. But before that, I want to ask you is what lies ahead for this particular, so to say, version of Sarcofago?
What
I mean, like in terms of gigs and gigs and tours. Yeah, what is the future?
Oh, ok. Ele está perguntando sobre o futuro, os planos nossos agora e tal, como sobre Sarcófago. Ou, né, com caso da pergunta Sarcófago.
Ok. Esse ano nós vamos sair turnê. Não serão muitas apresentações, mas nós vamos manter esse repertório. Ao próximo ano a gente sai em turnê também, mas né, o objetivo é de trazer algumas músicas novas do The Laos e soltar um material novo aí na cena do metal extremo.
We have a few gigs for this year in South America, especially in South America. And the plan is to, the next year, maybe we will record an album and with new songs and stuff. But as the moment, at least at the moment, we will be keeping that set and, you know, including a few more songs along the way. But that's the plan.
So excitement level for you personally from 1 to 10, 1 being like not interested, the slightest, 10 being like I'm gonna kill myself, it's so good. What is your level of excitement?
4?
4, only 4.
No. I'm asking what excitement for?
For this new album.
Oh, for the it's always great. The creation part is very important for me. So I love it. Yeah, I love that part in the other bands I had. So I got really excited about it.
So from scale to 1 to 10,
8.
8. So you're not gonna kill it for you, but it's gonna consume you.
No, not for that reason.
All right. Okay, now we move on to the very, very last set of quick questions. And we'll start with you and then go right here. And this is gonna be, I'm gonna ask you each of like maybe a couple, maybe 3 questions. And this is more like for fun.
Okay.
And don't overthink it. That's the idea. Let's start with you. Favorite band of all times?
Motorhead.
Favorite album?
Nossa. Já perguntou os treinos e pensa muito, nossa, é a palavra que veio a caroço.
Favorite place you would like to play show at?
I can't.
Okay, let's ask him about the same thing. Favorite band of all times, most important band.
Slayer.
Which album?
Show no Mass.
Why?
Fiquei.
Foi um som novo que me impactou muito a primeira vez que eu ouvi. Embora eu gosto de outros estilos de música, mas foi um álbum e uma banda que me impactou.
An album and a band that has a really big impact on him. That's why, on that time it was the biggest impact on him. That it was Slayer and that album.
If you could play a show with any band in the world, but not Slayer, what band would it be?
Kiss.
Awesome answer. Okay, let's start with you. What's your favorite band? The most important band.
Morbid Angel.
Which album? Not from Morbid Angel, but any band.
Formless Fatal to the Flesh.
Why?
Because I believe it's the highest mark of their career, and it's from the beginning to the very end. It's perfect. The mix, the writing of the songs, it's perfect.
Would it be better with David Vincent?
No.
Okay, fair enough. And to you, the most important band in your life.
Importante para você. Guys,
And the most important album of the series.
Waterfall.
Why?
Por quê?
Pizza Noval ele é um dos melhores bateras que eu...
And if you could go to one place before you die, what would it be?
Se eu pudesse ir a algum lugar antes de morrer, onde seria?
Mercado Central.
Jaguarão.
Tic-tac, tic-tac.
Brilhante.
Brilhante.
Where is that?
Brilhante is a famous house in Brazil with a lot of beautiful people.
Fair enough. Finally, Cesar, what is the best band in the world?
Suffocation.
And which album you would pick?
Iron Maiden, Live After Death.
Why a live album? I mean, I know it's a brilliant live album, but why that?
Por que esse álbum?
Foi o primeiro álbum que eu escutei que me deu vontade de tocar, de sair pra tocar heavy metal.
It was the first album that made him join the heavy metal scene, to play guitar and stuff. It was the first big impact in his life.
Wow, that's a great one. Then, one more question. You will eventually retire and you want to put your old bones into rest. Where will you go to retire?
Depois que se aposentar, se você for colocar seus ossinhos para descansar, onde é que você iria? Para onde você vai?
Cusco, Peru.
Why that place?
É um lugar muito... É uma energia diferente. É um lugar muito interessante.
It's a different energy, a very interesting place, very beautiful also.
That's a good shoveling tip. Obrigado. Okay, now finally, I want to thank you for the time here, and obviously, I'm looking forward to see your show. So,
Yes, man.
obrigado.
Thank you so
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Obrigado. Obrigado. Now, for Jesus Christ. there the man said it. Now do your homework, check out the music, and you will find links provided to this band's music, website, all that stuff. So do your homework, enjoy, and when you have the possibility to witness these guys live, go do it before it's too late. This is Rauta, this is Steelfest 2025, and this is this version of Sarcofago. Off you go. Bye. All right.